The hotel charge appeared on my phone while I was standing in the kitchen making coffee. $2,846 had been charged to my credit card by the Bellamy Grand Hotel in Charleston. My wife, Claire Whitmore, was supposed to be spending 4 days at a wellness retreat near Asheville. Charleston was nearly 4 hours away from where she claimed to be. I opened a receipt and felt my hand tighten around the phone. The reservation listed 2 registered guests: Claire Whitmore, Daniel Mercer. My name was Nathan Whitmore. I read the names 3 times, hoping I had misunderstood something. The room was a luxury king suite. The bill included dinner for 2, champagne service, valet parking, and late checkout. Claire had kissed me goodbye 2 mornings earlier outside our home in Brookhaven, Georgia. She told me she needed quiet time after months of stress at work. I had carried her suitcase to the car. I had told her she deserved the break. Now my own credit card was paying for a hotel room she was sharing with another man. I did not call her immediately. I searched Daniel Mercer's name instead. He was a senior partner at Harrow & Finch, the corporate consulting firm where Claire worked. I had met him once at a charity dinner. He was polished, confident, and recently divorced. That night, he had placed his hand lightly on Claire's shoulder while introducing her to a client. I remembered noticing it. I also remembered convincing myself it meant nothing. My phone rang a few minutes later. Claire's name appeared on the screen. I answered and forced my voice to remain calm. She told me she had just finished a meditation session. She said the mountain air was beautiful. She complained that the retreat served terrible coffee. Then she said she missed me. I looked at the hotel receipt while she spoke. I asked whether she had slept well. She hesitated for half a second. Then she said she had slept better than she had in months. I told her I was glad. She said she loved me. I said it back because I wanted to hear how easily she believed I knew nothing. After the call, I contacted the Bellamy Grand. The front desk refused to give me the room number, but they confirmed the reservation was still active. Claire and Daniel were checking out the following morning. I booked the next flight to Charleston. By late afternoon, I was sitting in the hotel lobby, facing the elevators. The Bellamy Grand was elegant and quiet. Soft piano music played near the bar. Guests walked past carrying shopping bags and glasses of wine. Everything felt strangely normal. At 5:12, the elevator doors opened. Daniel Mercer stepped into the lobby alone. He was wearing dark trousers and a gray sweater. When I said his name, he stopped so suddenly that the paper bag in his hand almost fell. He recognized me immediately. I asked where my wife was. He looked toward the elevators before answering. He said Claire was upstairs. I asked whether she was in his room. Daniel lowered his voice and said the situation was not what I thought. I told him people only said that when the situation looked exactly as bad as it was. He asked me to sit with him in the hotel restaurant. I followed because I wanted answers before anger made the decisions for me. Daniel placed a small blue jewelry box on the table. Inside was a silver bracelet engraved with the words, "For Evelyn." I asked who Evelyn was. Daniel said she was his daughter. She had died 8 years earlier at the age of 11. The answer caught me off guard. Then he told me Claire had been with Evelyn on the night she died. Claire had never mentioned knowing his daughter. Daniel explained that Claire had worked for a private youth foundation in Raleigh before we met. Evelyn attended one of the foundation's weekend programs. During dinner, she suffered a severe allergic reaction. Her emergency medication could not be found. By the time the ambulance arrived, it was too late. Claire had stayed beside her until the end. Daniel said he had always believed the reaction happened too quickly for anyone to save her. Recently, a former administrator contacted Claire with documents showing that the foundation had ignored repeated warnings about missing medication and untrained staff. The organization had hidden those reports after Evelyn's death. Claire had invited Daniel to Charleston because the former administrator was receiving treatment nearby and wanted to reveal the truth before she died. I listened without interrupting. The story sounded real, but it did not explain why my wife had lied about the trip. It did not explain why another man's name was on her hotel room. Daniel said he had a separate room on another floor. Claire had added his name as an authorized guest because they were using her suite to review documents with attorneys. He told me nothing romantic had happened between them. I asked whether Claire had told him I believed she was in Asheville. He looked away. That was enough of an answer. I stood and asked for her room number. Daniel gave it to me. Room 814. Claire opened the door after my second knock. Her face lost all color when she saw me. She did not ask why I was there. She already knew. The suite was covered with folders, printed emails, medical records, and old safety reports. A laptop on the desk displayed scanned documents from the foundation. Only one side of the bed looked used. The couch held an untouched blanket and pillow. I placed the hotel receipt on the desk. I asked her to explain why Daniel Mercer was listed in a room purchased with my card. Claire sat on the edge of the bed. She admitted everything Daniel had told me was true. She had been with Evelyn during her final hour. She had searched cabinets for medication that should have been clearly marked. She had called supervisors who did not answer. She had promised the frightened girl that help was coming. After Evelyn died, the Foundation's attorneys pressured the staff into silence. Claire was 27, afraid of losing her job and terrified of being sued. She signed a confidentiality agreement. She let Daniel believe his daughter could not have been saved. For 8 years, she carried the guilt alone. I asked why she never told me. She said she was ashamed. She had built our marriage around being responsible and honest. She feared that if I knew she had stayed silent, I would see her differently. I told her she had protected herself from one truth by creating another lie. Claire lowered her eyes. She said she knew. I asked whether anything had happened between her and Daniel. She answered immediately, no. Then I asked whether she had feelings for him. This time, she did not answer immediately. That silence hurt more than the hotel bill. Claire finally said she felt connected to him. She said the connection was not romantic. Daniel had lost a daughter. Claire had lost the belief that she was a good person. They were tied together by the same night, but from opposite sides of it. I told her emotional intimacy could still become a betrayal. She had shared the darkest part of herself with another man while keeping it hidden from her husband. Claire began crying quietly. She said Daniel understood something she could not explain to anyone else. I told her that was exactly what made it dangerous. Not because they had slept together, but because she had created a private world where I did not exist. She handed me a document from the desk. It was a sworn statement signed that morning. Claire had agreed to testify against the Foundation. The statement admitted that she had followed instructions to remain silent. It also explained that the organization ignored warnings that might have prevented Evelyn's death. By signing it, Claire risked losing her job. She also risked being sued for violating the old agreement. The final paragraph said her silence had allowed a grieving father to live with a false version of his daughter's death. She accepted responsibility for choosing fear over truth. I read the paragraph twice. It did not erase what she had done to me, but it was the first completely honest thing she had given me. There was a knock at the door. Daniel entered carrying another folder. He stopped when he saw me. I asked whether he knew Claire had lied about where she was going. He said he discovered it that morning. He had told her to call me. Claire admitted she had promised she would, but fear stopped her again. Daniel placed the folder on the desk. Then he said the attorneys no longer needed Claire at the hotel. The documents had been secured. Her statement was complete. She could leave. Daniel turned to me and apologized. He said he should never have agreed to a meeting arranged through deception. Then he walked out. Claire began packing without asking whether I wanted her to come home. She folded each item carefully. Her hands shook the entire time. I watched her place the bracelet for Evelyn beside the legal papers. I realized she had not come to Charleston to begin an affair. She had come to face an old failure. But somewhere along the way, she had decided that protecting herself from my judgment mattered more than protecting our marriage from another lie. That was the wound I could not ignore. We flew back to Atlanta on separate flights. For the next 3 weeks, Claire stayed with her sister in Buckhead. She testified publicly. The Foundation reopened its internal investigation. Several former executives were named in the civil case. Daniel finally learned that Evelyn's death may have been preventable. Claire lost her position at Harrow and Finch after one major client threatened to leave. She accepted the consequences without blaming anyone. During those weeks, she wrote me letters. She did not ask for forgiveness. She explained the parts of her life she had hidden. She admitted that secrecy had become the way she controlled fear. The hotel trip was only the most visible example. I attended counseling alone before agreeing to meet her. When we finally sat across from each other in our quiet living room, Claire looked smaller than I remembered. She said she understood if our marriage was over. I told her I did not believe she had physically betrayed me, but I also told her faithfulness was more than staying out of another person's bed. It was allowing your spouse to know the truth, even when the truth changed how they saw you. Claire nodded. She said she had learned that too late. I did not ask her to return home that night. Trust could not be restored because the explanation was tragic. It could only be rebuilt through time, honesty, and consequences. 6 months later, Claire moved back into the guest room. We were not healed. We were not pretending to be. But every account was open. Every difficult conversation happened before fear could turn it into secrecy. The Bellamy Grand charge remained on my credit card statement for months. I could have disputed it. I chose not to. That bill became the price of discovering that betrayal did not always look like romance. Sometimes it looked like silence. Sometimes it looked like shame. And sometimes the person who broke your trust was not running toward someone else. They were running away from the truth they believed would make you stop loving them.